my name is Megan. I'm the outreach director for the Hollywood Fringe Festival. Thank you guys for coming. I imagine we'll have a few people maybe come in late, and if not, that's okay. We'll have a nice focused time together. Thank you to Lauren and Joe for having us here tonight at the Actors Company. Sorry?
You're welcome.
Oh, thank you. Lovely air-conditioned venue here in the middle of Hollywood. So thank you. As per usual, guys, we are going to record this session and post it online. So just so you know, anything that we say will be broadcast onto the interweb. If you have not yet, and I'll speak generally to you guys, but also to whoever might be watching this later, if you have not yet gotten your settlement check, so that is the cash money that we owe you, please do go to hollywoodfringe.org/settlement. That's how you get your box office paid back to you. And in that, we do ask for an estimate of your door numbers, and that is not because it changes how much we pay out at all. It's just so that when we are assembling our numbers, like what the Fringe did this year, we put those in there. So, and I have those numbers for you guys tonight, so you can hear what those were. We pay out 100% of whatever you sold through our site to you. So that is always the rule, will always be the rule. How this works tonight, so this is our post-mortem town hall. So this is more of a feedback session for you guys to talk than for me to talk. I actually won't have too much to say unless you ask a specific question that I'm able to answer, in which case I will do my best. Hello, come on in and sit anywhere. So we will be taking notes and getting everyone's ideas, your feedback, your thoughts. There are no bad ideas. Please do, if you have an idea that you think like, oh, maybe they've already thought of this, or like maybe I shouldn't say it because it's silly or weird, like that's okay, please tell us, because some of the best things come from that. That being said, that we do ask that we keep any comments constructive and somewhat general. If you have a really specific issue, sometimes things come up where someone had a very specifically bad experience with a venue, for example. Those are great things to email us at support@hollywoodfringe.org. If there's a specific issue somewhere that maybe needs to be addressed in a less public forum, we will do our best to do that. If at any point I do stop you, it is not personal, it is solely in the interest of time. And that is pretty much it. If you guys haven't already done it, we do have a feedback survey that we distribute every year that we use not only for our own development, but also to report back to people who give us grants and scholarship foundation money, things like that. So it's at hollywoodfringe.org/survey. Relatively easy to remember. And that's kind of it. So I will go through some topics here, and at the end, if there's anything I haven't covered, I'll ask you guys to let me know. Because we're such a small session, please feel comfortable speaking. I know it's a little bit weird since I'm on the stage, but it's just because I want to be able to see all of you at the same time. So this year, we sold 56,000 tickets, which is an increase over last year, which was 50K, so thank you for helping us do that. Since the inaugural festival in 2010, our ticket sales have increased more than 300%, and we sold an estimated $447,000 in tickets this year, which is almost 50,000 more than last year. And again, the Central Fringe organization does not touch this money. It is all returned to Fringe artists and venues, which we're really proud of. Proud of you guys. This year we had 296 productions. We had more than 1,500 performances. We had 50 venues throughout Hollywood, and over 1,400 artists and producers participated in this year's festival. It was a good year. Those numbers are all online too, so if you want to like show off to friends and family at home and let them know what an amazing festival you're a part of, please feel free to quote us on those numbers. All right, so let's start with the registration process. So just getting your show registered on the Fringe site. That's the 3-step process where you first create a project, then you find a venue, and then you pay your registration fee. You guys have any feedback about that? Was it easy? Was it challenging? Were there parts of it that were harder than others?
I thought it worked very well.
Thought it worked well?
Yeah.
Good.
Didn't have any difficulty.
How was the web experience, like using the Fringe site for that, creating the project?
Pretty good. No
Pretty
issues.
good. No issues? Good?
I wrote this in online. I would say I would have liked, this was my first experience, something whittled down to a basic, consolidated, maybe a little cheat sheet with the basic necessary steps, as opposed to going to different pages and then getting a longer list of how to go about things. Just like a shorter, the cliff notes of what's absolutely necessary to get started.
Okay.
And then maybe from there, if I want to expand upon, greater detail, go somewhere else, just as a bird's eye view.
Cool. Like registration at a glance.
Exactly.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Oh, I should also shout out, Jamie's here taking notes. So if you guys don't see me writing it down, it's because she's doing it for me. Yay. So we have it all in detail. Okay, registration at a glance. Anything else about registering your project? Hey guys.
Are you going to talk about specifics about the website at some point?
Yes.
Okay.
And if I don't get to it, let me know. How about finding a venue? How is that process for everybody? Did anyone find it challenging to find a venue? No?
No?
Awesome, I love it. Okay, ticketing. So ticketing your show, the web experience for ticketing, discount code, setting up the prices, setting up the different shows. How was that experience for you guys?
It was easy.
Easy? Good? These are some of the early things we've been developing for many years, so if there's no feedback, that's okay with me.
Talking about it was more frightening than doing it.
Talking about it was harder than, man, ain't that the truth of life in general. Did you find that most of the advice that we gave about ticketing was accurate? Like how to discount, how to write promo codes, things like that?
Yes. Yeah.
Felt pretty well guided there. Good. Was there anything that you learned during the festival while doing it that you would have shared with somebody else, like in the future, like something that you found out that we didn't, advice that we did not give that we should incorporate into our regular spiel? Okay, I'll take that as a no.
I
If you
almost
think
feel
of
like
anything
we
later.
should have a little computer right here go on the site.
Yeah.
I could probably answer that more directly.
Well, the other thing too is if things come to you later, if you
Yeah.
like are driving home, as things often do, and you're like, oh, I forgot to mention that one thing, please email us at support
Okay.
because we check it all year. Yeah, you can definitely follow up with us. All right, workshops and town halls, things much like this. So we did 4 town halls this year. Those were the sessions where Ben spoke exuberantly for generally an hour or so, and that was all like general festival information. And then we also did workshops this year, and those were the ones, the panels that I moderated, where we had producers talk about past experience, and we did 3 pre-festival about just producing, and then we had the 2 creative workshops that were last fall. Did anyone know that we had creative workshops last fall?
Mhm.
You guys knew?
Yeah.
Nobody else knew. Okay, that was new this year, so we had to probably do a better job of messaging that out. That was actually feedback that we got at a previous meeting like this, where people said they would love a session about how to develop work creatively, so something
Yeah,
new that we did.
I thought the creative workshop was very interesting.
Oh, good.
Because it let you see how other people were approaching the process
Mhm.
of creating their show.
Mhm.
And there were a lot of different approaches,
Yeah.
which made it very, very, very interesting to me.
Good.
Yeah,
Okay.
I thought that was very valuable, particularly those people who hadn't started on anything yet.
Yeah, yeah. Mhm.
That gave us a great sense of accomplishment.
Okay, good. Yeah, finding out that you were a little bit ahead.
Yeah.
Well, shout out to Monica Miklas, who produced those. She did an awesome job. How were the rest of the town halls and the workshops, the other ones? Did people here, can I get a show of hands if you attended at least one town hall or workshop? Awesome. Did anyone attend more than one? Cool. And how did those go? Were those useful, helpful? What was the most valuable part, least valuable part? Did we waste your time on some things? Give you good advice on
I
others?
loved all the Q&A afterwards. It was just very open and it wasn't restricted. And it seemed like they pretty much answered the questions until we were done asking them,
Great.
which was great.
Well, it also had another effect. It kept you excited about the project.
Oh, that's good.
I mean, I think.
Not in constant fear.
When you were not working, you didn't have the same feeling of working alone. Now,
Mhm.
maybe some people are working in large theater groups, not the same thing, but there were just 2 of us working. And so it was great to see all the other people having the same fears and struggles that we were having.
Yeah.
And it kept the enthusiasm up.
That's good. Was there anything that we didn't cover that you would have liked to learn more about? Like, were there gaps? You guys are making my job easy. Okay, cool. Would you attend events year round if we were to do workshops like that more often throughout the year? Things that focused more on creative development or other topics? Would you guys be interested in doing that?
Yes.
Yeah.
What sort of things would you like to attend? That was an emphatic yes. What sort of
Well,
things would you like?
I'm here because I'd like to do something next year.
Oh, great.
So I don't know anything.
Okay, okay.
So when you say you want to have a workshop, it's like, yes,
Okay.
I'll be there.
Cool. What sort of, do you know what sort of show you'd like to do
Yeah,
next
I'd
year?
like to do a play.
Okay, so maybe things about writing, developing theater.
I know what play I want to do. I
Okay.
just don't know how to produce.
Got it, okay,
I mean, I have a vague idea, so I'm here to listen and figure out
okay,
where to begin, but those workshops sound perfect.
awesome, okay, great. We do we do 2 creative workshops in the fall that are more about developing the work itself, the content of the show, and we don't actually give advice about that, but we bring in previous producers who do different types of shows, so you get quite a variety of experience from them, and they will talk about their process a little bit, advice they would give about specifically producing for the Fringe. And then we also have 3 pre-festival workshops. Those usually start in February, like the year of the festival. And that's when we get into like the nitty gritty of like how to market and what discount codes you should use, all of those things like that. So we do have those every year. Yeah.
I'd like to see one on crowdfunding.
Crowdfunding?
Yeah,
An entire session on crowdfunding?
Yep, I have 2 or 3 people who've been very successful at it in telling you what they've learned and what they found works or what didn't work. And
Okay.
it's just as important to know what didn't work as what did.
Right.
But I think there are a lot of us who could use some funding.
Yeah, totally. Man, us too. No, I'm kidding. That's good. Okay, great. No, that's good to know. Something we could focus in on for sure. All right. Tools and resources that we had as part of the Fringe. We're moving right through this. So one of the things that everyone got this year, or well, not everyone if you did not do a show this year, but one tool that we do distribute is the participant packet, which is that big PDF that has many pages of information about what to do during the festival. Did you guys read that, use that, find it helpful? What do you remember from that was helpful for you?
It was a big PDF.
Yeah, it's huge, yeah. Yeah, it was many pages, yeah, painstakingly arranged.
Well,
Go ahead.
I think his checklist would be great to include in that.
The checklist.
The
what
checklist. He has
Registration at a glance.
registration
okay.
at a glance,
Yep.
and these different steps,
Mhm.
particularly for those people starting a show. I've done this, I've done this, I've done this. It would be very helpful.
Oh, a checklist. Like when, I remember I was a Girl Scout as a kid and you would get a checklist of all the things you had to pack for your camping trip, and I loved checking things off that
People
list.
love checklists.
They do love checklists. Okay, cool. What about like the press awareness information in the participant packet? Does that help? Yeah, Brian.
I was going to tap into the press thing a little bit. I had some frustration with tapping into some of the local critics with regards to the criteria in terms of image size
Mm-hmm.
and what was needed with that, and the frustration of having to resize or downsize photos in order to fulfill that. Like one particular publication or online site, I did all the text work and I went through all that. I spent half an hour, 45 minutes describing my show and whatnot, and I got to the photo and I didn't have the right size.
Gotcha.
The right, what's the other word they use?
Dimensions.
Dimensions, format,
Uh-huh.
pixelation, whatever. It was
Uh-huh.
just, they had a very specific size thing.
Uh-huh.
And if I could know that ahead of time,
Uh-huh.
you know, in terms of what those restrictions were, along with the information of the Fringe-friendly critics,
Mhm.
that would help me save time.
Gotcha. Don't know how much we'll be able to affect each individual outlet, but it's good to know that that was part of the experience for you, definitely. Yeah, go
Or
ahead.
what about a session where 3 or 4 people from the press came in and told you in general what they would prefer?
Press panel.
What they were willing to do, or what the common formats were, because he may not know the exact one for someone, but he may know that it's usually 1 of 3 or 4 that he can have for everyone.
Okay. Also, Brian did a great job just now of giving feedback about something specific, but not naming any names, so thank you. Continue. Let's, yeah, keep it up that way.
I found it was fairly easy to talk to performers after
Oh,
the
good.
shows, and just, lots of general questions, specific questions, how long have you been dancing? And that turns out to be pretty useful.
Mhm.
Put it all together into columns, but I don't use your own feedback, whatever you call them, your criticism columns. I think those are totally phony.
Gotcha.
And
And are you speaking about, is this in regards to press?
well, I'm talking about the fact that I write for City Watch.
Oh, got it.
And when I looked at the online thing where all the comment sections about each one.
The reviews on the projects, is that what you mean? Okay.
Is it like how many mother-in-law can you have, to have all those perfect recommendations for what is a really very poor
I
performance.
see. So you're saying as a member of the press, the comments in reviews were not necessarily helpful
I'm just
to you?
saying that the stuff that I found on your site, it looks like it was, written by the relatives of
Got
the
it.
performance,
Got it.
and,
I'm sure some of it was, but certainly not all.
sort of like Amazon or something.
Got it. Right. Yelp for the Fringe Festival in some ways. Did anyone here use the mobile app, the Hollywood Fringe app? Did you like it? What did you like about it?
I liked that it was on my phone.
Yep. All right. There you go. Was there any
I just
improvements?
really like apps. I think that on my desktop I get 100% program, and on an app, usually I get maybe 70%.
Right.
But there's more than 70 on there. I think it's a really good one.
Cool.
And are you going to have a segment in this evening where we could say what part of it we're going to do differently, assuming the Fringe did everything great?
Sure, if you'd like, we can do that at the end, yeah. Yeah, sure. I'll make a note. Fringe TV, did anyone here watch Fringe TV, our YouTube channel? Did you know it existed? Didn't know it existed, didn't really watch it? What, and why not? It's not a challenging question, but just was not, didn't have time, wasn't interesting to you?
Yeah, basically, anything I heard about it didn't have practical application for me.
Okay,
And if you were at all the workshops and things, you didn't need to watch it.
got it, okay. And some people not aware, maybe we need to increase some awareness there.
Was it tied into the front page, or was it a separate link?
It was tied into the front page, but when we relaunched the website, we had we now have sort of those featured slides on the front page. So they do switch depending on what we think is the most pressing information there on the homepage. Yeah.
It's also on the bottom half of the homepage.
Oh yeah, there's a link there on the bottom.
Scroll
Yeah.
down.
Okay, Fringe TV. What about the newsletters, the emails that we sent you guys? Did you read them, receive them?
Good stuff.
Good stuff?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Any other feedback about newsletters? Besides that they're great? Okay, good. Are you feeling more confident about participating in the festival next year?
I have a follow-up to the press.
Sure, yeah. No, please go ahead.
I would love, I know we put out a press release on each of our show profiles. And to save time, I would have loved to have found out which press people go to that press release on the site to decide which shows they want to see. So they make the preemptive move to go to the site and look at the plays that they want to review, as opposed to those that are much more lax and hands-off, and that we have to pursue them in terms of patterns from the past. I was kind of curious about that because I was a little overwhelmed in terms of trying to reach out to the press along with everything else. I would have loved to have shortcutted through.
Yeah. There's some things there are not a lot of shortcuts to, unfortunately, and I think we do try to respect year over year that many press contacts will change, and we want to make sure we give people enough tools, guidance on how to write the press release and a place to put it on the site. But it's something that we always hear feedback about, and so something we're always thinking about ways to change and improve those relationships over time. It's great feedback. Thank you. Buttons and hotspots. Did you guys all have a Fringe button this year? Did you use it at all for the hotspots but getting discounts yet?
What's a hotspot?
A hotspot, great question. Okay, so that's a note for us. Hotspots are different businesses that we had around town that would offer discounts to Fringe participants.
Oh,
So like coffee shops, printers, distribution places. It was information in the participant packet, the many page participant packet.
I guess I just used it mainly at the central.
Okay, great.
I have a question about the button.
Sure.
This happens every year. People come up to the venue and they want their button,
Right.
and we don't have any buttons here to give them. We have no way of knowing if somebody has buttons. I tell them they have to go to Fringe Central. A lot of people, there's no way they're going to a bar to get it. You know,
Right.
It kind of leaves them with you just having to take their word that they have
Yeah.
a button.
Is that pre-festival or during the festival or both?
Yeah, it's
Both?
during festival.
During the festival. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
the
So
walk-up
so
places.
just to capture it in one. So venues not being able to know confidently whether or not someone has a button.
Right, we handle box
And then-
office for
right,
people, so
of
they
course,
come
at the
up and
door.
They say, oh yeah, I have a button.
Uh-huh.
And it's like,
Uh-huh.
I'll give you the discount just because you said that.
Right.
And then they say, well, how do I get my button?
Okay. And then
And
so
it seems
okay.
so complicated to them. A lot of people, you know, they want to go to the theater. They don't want to go to a bar to pick up a button that's all the way down with difficult parking.
Got it. Okay, cool. Time to think about button distribution technique strategy. We've gotten that feedback before actually, and we've been thinking about it for a while, so
We had
it's
a
good to
whole
know.
week of performances where your central operation wasn't even open. It was sort of still being painted or
During
something.
the preview days, that's right. We do not
Yeah.
open Fringe Central
I
during
wandered
previews.
in and just handed me a packet of stuff. It was all very informal, but it was a little peculiar that it seemed like the festival had already started, and yet it hadn't really.
I see. Yeah. To clarify that little bit, during previews, which are about a week right before opening, we've always done it. We've always timed the opening of the Fringe Central with the opening night party, so there's a bit of like celebration there. But tried to keep the space available so that press can come early and get press packets. But it is definitely not like a fully open venue at that time. Definitely a little more lax and casual, and as the space is being prepared for that opening night reveal. But that timing is intentional. Was there something that you needed from the space that you didn't get during that time?
No.
Okay.
Well,
Just seemed a little strange.
It just seemed, like you said, walk in on somebody who's asleep or something like that.
Okay.
It was just
Okay.
very odd.
Got it. Well, we try to make sure that opening night party is the first time we really reveal the central space, but it's
Well, a
good
piece
for
of
them to hear.
paper that says, if you need your stuff, get here.
Okay.
It was in
Great.
there.
Hi. Yeah. Go ahead.
Regarding the fringe buttons, or her point here,
Uh-huh.
have they ever considered being able to print it out, kind of like insurance cards instead of a button, and maybe buy it online and then you'd always have it?
Like
I
a
don't
wallet
know if we
card.
have ever considered
Like a
that.
card.
Good
Little,
idea.
not expensive one, but
Right. You could pre-print it yourself. I don't know if we ever have. We'll. You got that note?
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Cool. Anything else about buttons? Hi.
Hey.
How are you guys? Welcome. It's very informal, so I'm just gonna like bring up topics, and if there's anything you think about it, positive, constructive criticism, anything, please just let me know. And at the end, we'll catch up and see if there's other stuff that we've left out. Okay, so that closes up buttons and hotspots. So I'd like to get this feedback I'm specifically interested in because I do a lot of these events, but the meetups and the networking before the event. So the mixers that we have after town halls and workshops, and the office hours, the drinking about fringe sessions that we do on Wednesdays at different bars. I know some of you guys attended them, but can I get a show of hands of people who did attend? Did attend. Yeah. Awesome. Okay, cool. And what did you think?
Pretty good.
Pretty good?
Just good for networking.
Good for networking? Good. Yeah.
I hate bars.
Yeah? Yeah.
I seriously.
God, if you hate bars, then bars in Hollywood are like even worse, I'm sure, yeah.
But I'm wondering, is there another venue that you can do one or two of those kind
Another
of
way.
events in? So that we're not in a loud environment trying to network with other people, where we're, trying to talk over a band or the house
Right.
music or whatever's
Right.
going on.
Right.
I second them.
Yeah?
Seriously, I felt the same thing.
Yeah. It's hard to network in the lounge.
communicate in a bar,
Mm.
especially if you don't drink, don't enjoy it.
Okay. Do you have, that is great feedback. Are there specific ideas of places, like other places that you might want to? I only hang out in bars, so. I'm just kidding, I do other stuff. But are there other locations that you think might be nice, or? Go ahead.
Maybe more of a coffee type of place.
Yeah,
instead of a
coffee
bar.
mixer
Yeah.
kind of thing, yeah?
That would work.
It's mostly the noise level.
Right.
I have a mixed reaction to that, because some have patios
Mm-hmm.
that you could walk out on, and the noise is in the distance.
Yeah.
I mean, it was half and half. Some
Yeah.
were a little loud, some were okay.
Yeah. This is our second year doing the mixers at different bars every week, and some of them I book, and I've been there before, and I have a kind of a sense of what the space is like, and some of them to be honest, I do go in blind, and I don't know, and we want to reach out to different areas and make relationships with different places, but it's good to know, definitely. There were some nights versus others that I was like, this one's very successful and everyone can talk, and there were some where I'm like, this is a very loud place, and I hope people are smiling brightly at each other.
How
But,
many
yeah.
people show up?
It varies quite a bit, but usually we started this year, our first one had 35 people and the last one had over 80. So they increase as we get closer to the festival, definitely. And this year we started them quite early. I think we did it for 10 weeks this year. Yeah, go ahead.
On networking in general, do you have any specific outlets for actors who want to get involved in specifically fringe shows besides the basic backstage casting
Right.
access?
So the question is, do we have outlets for actors to get involved in fringe productions?
Yes.
We developed a fringe forum, actually like a message board one year in response to some feedback that we got at a town hall, and it was not used. Does it still exist?
Yeah, it's still there.
It's still up? It's on the Fringe website, right?
But effectively, it's kind of become the
Yeah.
Hollywood Fringe and LA Theater Facebook.
Yeah, it's a Facebook page now.
Definitely become.
That we do not
go-to.
manage.
Yeah, we don't manage.
Yeah, we don't manage that group, but there is a Hollywood Fringe Facebook group that Khan's gonna try and find right now, and then I'll tell you guys what it's called. No, we don't have a specific avenue for that. We do recommend, like, we recommend people reaching out on Twitter and expressing interest, or coming to events and expressing interest, but the forums weren't used very well, and so we didn't invest a lot in continuing to message them, since people didn't seem to use them, and this Facebook group appeared.
It is the Hollywood Fringe Festival and LA Theater group on Facebook. It's got about 1,000 members right now.
I should join it too. I'm not in it. Can you add me to it, please? Awesome.
Have you ever thought about doing casting sessions for anybody that needs to cast? Because there are some people that are doing plays and maybe not as heavily into the theater community as others, and if you had just a general audition where people could come and just see a bunch of actors audition.
I think
Who they like.
I think that's a great idea. I think it ventures a little bit into production further than we can do as a staff. For us, our primary objective, well, our only objective really, is making sure the festival itself runs. So and we do want to give people tools to produce and advice from other producers, but we never want to get anywhere involved in actually producing the shows or casting the shows, or having anything to do with the artistic process part of it. We really want to stay objective and clear of that. But we've gotten feedback like that before, that then other people have taken, like venues have taken on, or
Yeah, casting cattle call has been discussed in the
Yeah.
past, and it was just a logistical issue more so than anything else. But as
Good to
Megan
know.
said, it's that fine line between fringe producing and not producing. But it's something we've discussed year after year, and we just haven't managed the
figure out the balance. Yeah. Okay, it's good to know that it's coming up though. Yeah.
Would it be possible to have one of the mixers early enough in advance for people to get involved in that way? Because the only way I got involved was through a chance audition that I had for a theater thing that turned out to be Fringe related, and I'd been wanting to get involved for a couple of years, just didn't know how. So would it be possible to have one earlier?
What time of year was the audition that you went on?
Around June. It was like I got.
Oh, so right before the
yeah,
festival.
I got involved 3 weeks before my
We
show
do
started.
start. We do start doing mixers after town halls and workshops in January, February.
Okay.
But they are smaller because it's usually people who are still learning about the festival and coming into it. So we have the Fringe website. There are 2 different newsletters. If you are already a participant associated with a show in some way, you get a specific email from us that's written and designed for participants. But there's a version of it that also goes out to our general email list, and that will include information about those sessions. So being on that list is a great way to learn about some of those things. And I would imagine this Facebook group that I should be more hip to probably has info on it too. We do start doing mixers and things early in the year, but I think there's always more messaging that we can do as a growing festival. There's always more we can be doing to tell people what we are doing and where it's happening.
And then actors could come to that good workshop early, wear balloon hats. And
Well,
we wanna be involved.
I mean, we could have it. We could tell people too, because we bring name. Like, I'm a huge fan of the name tag. Like, that could be something people write on their name tags if that's what they're interested in doing. Yeah, totally. If they're not involved with a specific show, just saying actor or producer. Yeah, that's cool. Giving people that advice on their name tag is great. Any other feedback about the office hour? I know you guys went to a lot of them. Did you have any impressions of that? Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was good because like the people that we met in the early office hours, they're the same people that we became friends with.
Okay.
So it's like then we went to their show, they came to our show, like the people you network with in the beginning, it's really good, like, and also to build friendship.
Okay.
So,
Yeah. So it worked for you.
Yeah.
Okay. Good. Anything else about those before I move on?
I have a curious question in general. I don't
Sure.
know how many producers are here and working on this show. For me, majority of my ticket sales were just online. It had nothing to do with my networking. And there's a part of it I understand why, but it goes without saying. But I'm curious about the other producers in terms of the people that you interacted with at the mixers. Were you at all disappointed maybe for in terms of whether or not the people showed up, where you put the face-to-face time effort into, or did it meet your expectations?
Did anyone feel like it wasn't worth it to go to mixers?
It was for me on personal, in terms of ticket sales, it didn't make that much of a difference. Most of it just came from elsewhere, for me, majority of my community.
I will not be offended if anyone felt like it wasn't worth it. It's okay to
For
say.
me,
Yeah.
to be honest, in
Yeah.
terms of ticket sales, it was
Didn't
based
work. Okay.
100%.
Okay.
100%.
It was what, 100%?
Yes.
Oh,
I can
it-
say that. In terms
yeah.
of ticket sales,
Yeah.
all my audience came from, because this play was not in English.
Right.
So I didn't get any regular Fringe audience.
I see.
Except few supporters from the Fringe community.
Yeah.
Right? I'm sorry,
Right.
Grant. I said 100%. Of course, you were there, you supported, you
Yeah.
came for the show.
Right, right.
But in terms of sales, it
Yeah.
didn't help.
Didn't
at
translate
all.
directly?
Yeah.
Okay. Got it. Okay, good to
I
know.
had to work very hard to get audience for
Yeah.
my show.
Yeah.
It was sold out show.
Great.
Right?
Yes.
But a lot of them were invited guests.
Mm-hmm.
It was a good response. I'm glad. I'm very happy for that. But it was a lot of effort.
Okay, got it. Thank you. Thank you. As far as the social media presence for the festival, social media interaction, did anyone participate in that? Find it helpful? Find it not helpful? Any impressions about? Yeah, go ahead.
What do you mean by interaction?
So the interaction. So we had hosted Twitter chats, which were like specific times that everyone got on Twitter and talked together. That were hosted from the Hollywood Fringe account. There would be like general questions asked for about an hour, and then people responding through that. And then also just using Facebook, and we use Facebook and Twitter to sometimes deliver messages about the festival, to echo information from our email newsletters, things like that. There's a lot of crossover there, but we do use a lot of social media. So just any general feedback about social media for the festival. Go ahead.
I thought the chats were useless.
Okay.
I'm
That's
sorry,
okay. That's
my
okay. No, you
opinion.
don't have to apologize.
They,
This is the time to say it.
There wasn't much real chatter about the shows.
Got it.
It was pretty similar to just most internet noise.
Found the chat. Do you
Yeah.
think there could
Now,
have
I'm
been?
not saying that was true of Facebook stuff and
Okay.
posting, but the chat, I'm only
Twitter
talking
chat.
about the
Yeah,
chat. I thought that was.
Did you think that the questions asked by the Fringe were useful, or they could have been different questions? Were there
I
been
think
better
they were
questions?
largely just ignored. People just
I see.
posted whatever they wanted to
Got
talk
it.
about. That's just my experience.
Yeah.
Now,
Okay,
are you
that's really
talking
good.
about the hosted chats, or are you talking about the Twitter feed in general?
No, I'm talking about the hosted chat.
Okay.
People just kind of running in their own direction with it.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay. Okay. Maybe a little more work on keeping people on topic from moderator. Maybe. See. Any other impressions about social media? Okay, great. Fringe events. We're almost done with this agenda, and then you guys can talk about whatever you want to talk about. So, Fringe events. We had an opening night party, a runway party, a prom party. We did a lot of parties. Fringe Rocks closing night. We had different themes. We had different programming and entertainment. Did you guys attend these? Find them fun? Find them stupid? Any impressions there about the Fringe events? Again, as long as your feedback is general and constructive, we'll not be offended. But it is good to know because we do put a lot of work into those events. So, how were those for you?
I found them helpful. I went to one of the early ones that was a meet and greet actually next door. And I got
Okay.
to meet a lot of people who were doing shows, get a lot of flyers, that sort of thing.
I think
The
that might have
runway
been a
one-
venue event. Yeah.
The runway event was also really cool. I liked the ability to show off costuming and that sort of thing. I felt it allowed the cast to sort of show pride in their work, and I
Yeah.
think that was really important. So I
What do
liked
you
it.
mean the one next door? Here?
Yeah, there was this, was that,
Oh, that was ours.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
for you feedback wise, I enjoyed that
Yeah.
one.
Yeah, it's a
Very
great
good.
thing the venues.
So-
Yeah, the venues do some, not all, and we don't require it, but we totally encourage it. Some of the venues do meet and greets.
Yeah, I think
Actually,
I found out about it through the
yeah.
Fringe site. So I
and they
figured
do
I
it
thought
actually.
was
It's a good point. They do those usually during the preview week. So when the Fringe Central
Usually
space
during
is not open, that's another reason why we keep the Fringe Central space closed that week, is so venues can throw their own events and have people meet and greet. That's awesome that you guys do that. Any other impressions about events? Yeah. Hi.
I didn't go to any of the events. I went to the closing night one, but I did use just Fringe Central as a place to find folks
Mhm.
after my rehearsals and things throughout. And just to shout out to them, everybody was behind the bar and the folks up in that little booth who were selling wares and stuff. Uniformly helpful, friendly, pleasant.
Oh, good.
I think, that was probably a fairly thankless job at certain points, and they did, I thought, a really great job.
We will tell them that you said that, and it will
So
be very
they
appreciated.
did inadvertently hand my debit card to somebody else.
Oh,
as
no.
They were cashing out at the bar, and they handled that and fixed it.
Great.
Took care of it.
Great.
So even the mess ups were not
Okay.
bad.
Good,
So
good.
I did want to just give them all a kudos.
Thank you so much. That's very kind of you. Thank you. Go ahead.
I hate bars.
Mhm.
So, if we could do an event that doesn't have drinking at its core and a loud environment and all of that, I'd be all for it.
Mhm.
But it seemed like every event centered around being in a bar, everybody drinking, and the noise level and the rowdiness that kind of goes with that. I mean, at those events, part of the reason for being at those events was to see snippets of shows and things like that, and the audience was doing something else rather than paying attention to what was going on stage, and that just seemed to be at cross purposes to me. So, different event space might be great.
I personally love the karaoke.
Oh, good.
I think it's great to see, especially when I see them in a show and then they just kind of, let it rip on some popular classic rock song or something. And you love the performance on stage and like to hear them sing. I thought that was great. I thought it was a wonderful, a very fun event, which always offers you can listen, dance, root for your favorite singer. It's great.
And I think they did a great job of decorating the place this year. It was a way, way cut above what it's been in the past. It really, a lot of work went into it. Yeah.
Yes, thank you. Great. So some more varied types of events, varied space. Other thoughts on any of the events? Anybody else? How did you like the awards night, like sort of the closing night? Is that nice? It was fine. Everything was acceptable. Okay, great. But we got your note, definitely.
Speech, as I've said multiple times, that was fabulous.
Okay, you'll be happy to hear it. Thank you. Okay, great. Any other thoughts on, we touched on it already, Fringe Central. Any other thoughts about Fringe Central, general impressions and feedback about it besides, and I think, Jamie, you got what Dave said, right? Okay, awesome, good. Anything else about the Fringe Central space, the staff that was working there, the merch, concierge? Anything else about that?
I think it's really great that you have a food truck there, but the line is so long, it's almost impossible to access it.
Okay.
I know you probably can't have a whole bunch of them down that street, but.
Ooh, no, there were some nights when we had two, but there were some nights that we were surprised by the volume at Fringe Central, and which is a pleasant surprise, but something that I can definitely assure you we are noting every year. It used to not be the case that we had a truck every night, and that was a major piece of feedback, so that's something that changed after the town halls. So it's good to hear. Yeah, I too have waited in those lines, yes. Okay, I'm gonna move on unless you guys, anything else? Yeah, please.
Yeah, I've been thinking a lot about metrics, because I've been hanging out with this finance guy, and he's big on metrics, which is like what you count.
Sure.
And I'm wondering if there's a ratio of the numbers of food trucks to numbers of people at the Fringe Central. If there are 200 people there, how many are going to stand in line, and how long are they going to wait, and run those metrics and see if those are acceptable to people.
Yeah, the way that we currently book food trucks, we have someone there almost every single night from certain hours. We increase those hours based on peak times for weekends and events. So when we do have those big Wednesday events, we would increase them. There's some variables with food trucks that we can't control as far as setup and parking goes. We have a pretty solid system at this point of sort of guerrilla blocking out the space right there outside of the space so that we can park them there every night, but there were nights when sometimes that was out of our control, so every once in a while if something opened late, it might have been one of those uncontrolled things, but we can certainly look into refining that formula. Yeah, go ahead.
Just comment about what the gentleman said over here. I know that my concept of Fringe is that it's rowdy, kind of like maybe came from Scotland, where they drink a lot and hoist their flags and sing drinking songs, and it's kind of a irascible type group. I'm wondering if there's another version that might be the yuppified version, which is
Yes,
you walk into a courtyard where lots of vegetation, and then it's really quiet and enough room for a couple hundred people.
Yeah.
We do the kind of high-end version, maybe it moves around.
I say this and it will sound sarcastic, but it's totally sincere. If you know a space like that, that might be willing to host a theater festival, we would love suggestions for different types of venues. We love the Dragonfly. The Dragonfly is very good to us and it's a lot of fun, but we too have recognized over years that there is always a desire for a quieter space or something that's not quite the same, like not a party every single night, a space maybe that allows different ages. That's something that we run into with the Fringe every year. If you guys were at the opening night party, we were picketed by one of our shows who were not old enough to go to the party. And yeah, and I mean, it was hilarious, and I will say, like, they made an amazing bit out of it, but it's something that we're totally aware of. Space in Hollywood, as I'm sure you guys are aware, is tough to come by, so we are always open to suggestions, and honestly, like, I mean, I'm sure everyone on staff would tell you they go to sleep, like, dreaming about a garden with lush vegetation, Prosecco, and theater. I mean, that would be great. But it's a good note, and we're always on the lookout. So if anything ever comes across anyone's radar, please do email us. Let us know. Well, the venues have their own. The venues themselves, we don't manage their spaces, and we know that for most of them, they're committed to producing work. So,
right. I mean, for one of these pre-Fringe events, why not do it in one of the venues instead of at the Dragonfly, where
I think
you could have a food truck out in front of the theater instead of.
It's possible. For the most part, we let the venues book their spaces on their own. We've done. There were years previous where we had access at a theater that is no longer on Theater Row, where we would have we book shows, but. A big part of it is we do have a lot of people who do love the party aspect, so we want to make sure we maintain that.
I'll just go on record saying that I do.
No, I know, yeah, no, I know. And I think the other thing is most of these venues, I mean, all of the venues are working year-round and booking as much as possible to keep their lights on and their air running and things like that, and so we want to be respectful of their time and space too, and they're not really designed to host parties or events in quite the same way, and I don't think we want to infringe upon that too much, but we'll be keeping our eyes out for sure. Anything else about Fringe Central? Okay. I'm sorry, I missed it. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Anything else about Fringe in general, right?
Oh no, just the Central. I'm almost at the anything in general. No, that's okay. That's okay. For the awards, the actual Fringe Awards, the voting system, nominating system, how was that process for you guys? Any feedback about that?
I'm not sure. It was like everyone was voting, right? So it's basically like the most friends that you have.
Right.
It's like they're the one who get the votes. So it's like sometimes I feel that maybe a jury would be fair.
That's why we've done the split between the community votes and the sponsored votes. I can say now with pretty complete confidence that the Fringe will never have a jury that gives out awards because, again, anything associated with the organization showing a preference is something we are not part of our core principles. We want to be as impartial and open as we can. We also recognize that community voting does mean that if you have a lot of people who happen to be in the community of seen your show, you are more likely to have votes or nominations. But that's why we have sort of tried to balance it with more sponsored awards, which are actually done by jury companies or businesses, registered organizations that do have a selection award process.
But why not a jury that's not part of the Fringe? Why not just a jury of people you invite to do it?
Because we would have invited them to do it.
Pardon?
Well, by inviting a jury or selecting a jury in some way, we lose a bit of that impartiality.
Well, I think the producers of the Miss America pageant, if there is one anymore, the judges' decision is totally apart from there. I don't think anyone holds the producers of the show for the judges' decision.
I think for any type of award-giving organization, they all have a different sort of feeling about this, different sort of policy. For us, it's really, really at the core of it. So yeah, the community voted aspect will likely remain, but we also have this sponsored award program is one that was quite small at the start, and we've intentionally sought out organizations who we felt like, or not sought out, but intentionally spoken like and emphasized how much we like that program to hopefully attract more people
Then
to do it.
why not allow all producers to vote?
All producers to vote. How do you?
Producers of every show vote.
They do vote. They are invited to vote.
Well, I know, but as soon as you add the general public, you invite everyone's friends, and now it no longer has any meaning other than who knows the most people.
Do you want to go ahead?
Yeah, it's not just the general public. There's certain parameters that are needed to get a vote. You need to see a certain amount of shows.
Yeah.
You need to write reviews on a certain amount of shows. So there are definitely parameters. It's not all 56.
Okay.
So there are definitely parameters. It's not a free for all.
Okay.
Thank you for clarifying. Sorry, I didn't clarify that. But okay, got it. Go ahead.
We actually had a show exactly the same time as the awards. Maybe that could have been our choice, I'm not sure, but is there any way to maybe not have that conflict so that there are no shows during the award hour?
There is a way, yes.
There was a.
Yeah, I speak to that too. Why don't you do it on Monday? Why don't you let everybody do their shows on Sunday and then have your award as a separate thing? I have yet to attend the award ceremony because we've been working all day long on that Sunday, or else we have to go dark that Sunday. You know, and it's not even a matter of being at the same time. It's like we're starting shows at 10 a.m. By the time you get to your award ceremony, we're still like cleaning up here. You know, and it's a choice then of, well, is the award ceremony, and people are tired, they're, you know,
I hear you, we are tired too,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay, so the feedback here
Really
is,
make it a
could
big
there,
award ceremony,
Yep.
a really big thing.
totally understand. The feedback is, can the award ceremony be at a time when there are not shows going on? Got it.
I would add to that, my fellow producers, it is, you know, it's a full-time job, you know, to produce a pro show, really depends if your show ends. And then there's that wind down time. I would even suggest maybe having an award show a few days after everything's over and done with, or maybe even a week later, just that event alone.
But that just plays into a problem with out-of-town shows and things like that, right?
Maybe the encore series, but yeah, I thought it was.
A lot of that also, I mean, I don't want to do too, I think it's good to capture everybody's feedback, and I don't want to do too much explaining or like, it has to be this way. It's something that we do think about consciously every year. It's good to hear the feedback about it. It's something we can definitely consider. I think waiting a few days or a week, you lose a lot of that momentum afterwards. You can see sort of, I mean, just from tonight, that once you do get a little distance from it, interest does drop off a little bit, but I'm sure there's a solution here that we can think about.
I think it on Monday is a good idea.
Okay, thank you.
Next day.
Got it. You got it, Jamie? Yep. Got it all on there? Okay, awesome. So that's for awards. And for the future, how this might be the time to speak about what you might do differently, other things that you might want us to do differently. Would you recommend Hollywood Fringe to somebody else? These are all good things for us to hear. But this is time to speak to that. Yep.
Yeah, I'd like to say what we're going to do differently next time.
Sure.
Speaking of metrics, tonight's metric for me is, the first category is all the amazing things Fringe does. To create an opportunity where people with the wildest ideas they can think of get to do them without people saying can't do it. That's one of the best things of all, of the whole thing. Second level down would be the venues and what they provide. Venue we were with, they were really helpful. Lots of emails coming up, don't forget to do this. This is not like going to university where if you miss a deadline, it's too bad, you're on your own. This is more like high school in that way, so I like that.
Okay.
Third level would be the production itself that we put on. Also, I'm going to put marketing in there as well. I think there, I'll just tell you what the fourth one is, so we wonder how long the list is. But it goes to four is the creative end, the writing, the acting, and the casting, the lighting, the way the thing, everything goes. Back to that third area, the production. I think what I'm going to do next time, and what I think we're going to do, is whenever I meet somebody at a party and they say, oh, I'm a lighting designer, I'm not going to say in my mind, oh, don't need one. I'm going to come up with a list of 10 people in every job we would ever need. Roadies to move gear in and out. Somebody who's a Facebook expert, they're going on the list. Each of the social media channels, they're going on the list. 10 of each of those. An Instagram expert. Somebody who can say, where you call them up on the phone, and they tell you to click on things. They don't just say, oh, go ahead and tweet that out. Something as simple as sending out an invitation for an event on Facebook, the difference between sending it out as private and public. You send it out private, you can't even go back and change that.
Right.
It's probably covered in the workshops, but
Sometimes Facebook changes their rules so fast that sometimes we can't even keep up. But
so I ended up putting an ad up on Craigslist for a social media consultant, and 10 or 12 responded offering a certain amount of money. 3 of them were really smart. I really liked them, talked to them on the phone. Hired all 3 of them.
Oh, wow.
Certain numbers of hours, and their strengths emerged. That was really, really helpful. I think starting 10 months ahead would be great. And to build up the Twitter account and following, I don't know how these celebrities with 200,000 followers do this, but somebody must be working 24 hours a day for years to do that.
I think that's probably true.
And even then, these channels are not enough to persuade people to come to the show. There has to be a personal tie-in, somebody you meet. And even my 1,600 friends on Facebook, you can only invite so many before they said, hey, you've invited enough.
Right.
And they could say something nice like, hey, only invite the people who are gonna come. I was inviting everybody.
Gotcha.
So I think there are ways to refine.
Creating your own network
that
of
we're gonna
people
do-
over years who might be able to help
that
and
we're gonna
advise.
do differently next time on our end, the numbers 3 and 4, but Fringe is doing such a great job. Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, thank you. That's very kind of you. We appreciate it. Any other feedback from you guys?
Yeah.
Open it up to general notes now. If you have general notes.
How does Fringe connect with equity or equity waiver for actors?
That, we have a great relationship with Equity, and so we do talk to them. I don't actually know what the exact, like, as of today, what the status of equity actors in the Fringes. We recommend that all actors participating speak with their equity representatives, since at the end of the day, anyone who wants to come participate in our festival is welcome, and we don't have any rules or regulations about who can or cannot, as long as they are in the Fringe zone and they have paid their Fringe registration fee. But they do have different parameters, and so we defer to their representatives for that.
Okay, so
Yeah.
that's separate from.
It is, yeah, we recommend everyone go and speak to their representative if they happen to be a member of Actors Equity. Yeah.
One thing that happened to us several times was we put postcards up in Fringe Central, and the next time we were there, they were moved somewhere else,
Mhm.
and somebody else's postcards were where ours were. And that don't be a dick or don't be a jerk part of Fringe was somehow stepped on.
I will tell you, sorry, go ahead,
I
finish your
just-
thought. Yep.
A solution to that would be to create designated spaces and have a lottery to give those away to people so that your postcards are going to be there through the whole thing because you won that space.
Mhm.
And it's not a matter of somebody coming in after hours and moving stuff
Yeah.
around.
I will say, if we ever see as staff, and we keep an eye on that postcard wall pretty closely, when we see people messing with that wall, we tell them not to do it. I'll be totally honest with you, I don't know that we will be able to create a designated postcard space and lottery for that, just based on all the sort of other things that happen during the festival and in that Fringe Central space that make it challenging to regulate some of those spaces, but we do our damn best to keep an eye on that. And we also, if we've seen people come in and drop postcards deliberately covering other people's materials, they are promptly recycled, so we let people know that as often as possible, but there is some amount of crummy human manipulation that we cannot control, but it's good feedback. Go ahead.
Is there any way to reserve space for posters?
Nope, first come, first serve.
Okay, when we gave our poster at Fringe Central, at the nice people over we were talking about, they were very nice.
Mhm.
And they said they were gonna post it later. Like, is there a certain time after?
I imagine that was probably just because in that moment they had to stand at that post. But no, there's not specific times. I do think there may be a chance that we regulate poster size at Fringe Central so that we can accommodate more in the future. That is something we're thinking about doing, yeah. Because I know we ran out of space a little early this year.
Well, and we never knew when we could bring posters to be posted.
Okay.
We made 3 trips down here with posters.
Okay.
And each time Fringe Central wasn't open,
Mm.
there was hours or whatever.
Mm.
And so
Was that during
Fringe
the-
Central was open before we ever got the posters in. The posters should have been in before Fringe Central was open to the public. You know, do
I understand.
yeah. So if
Maybe, yeah.
even that calendar events that said
Sure, sure.
posters will be received on
Sure.
any afternoon or
Yeah.
between 2 and 5.
Let
or
people
on
know
a
when they
certain
can start
day,
dropping off materials.
Then anyone has a fair shot. We bring all the posters and then you post them.
Did you, when you were trying to come drop them off, was it during previews or had the festival already opened? Do you remember?
No, I don't.
Okay, that's okay. Good to know. Okay,
I say I was a little confused about that as well.
Okay.
I just wanted to chime in.
cool. Good to know. Go
Just to
ahead.
follow up on that, is
Yeah.
there a size limitation on posters? We saw a couple that were almost like murals.
We did not have a size limitations on posters this year.
Well, we were at one of the marketing meetings, we were told what size, maximum
Yeah.
size it could be.
24 by 36.
24 by 36.
Oh, they were?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry, I didn't know.
No. That's,
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I heard that.
You didn't know that?
That they weren't, that they're like, this year we did not specify, at least in like all of the like documentation
Got it.
sent out.
Got it.
They
Okay.
Might have been just said in the.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I also,
Sounds like we clearly have some clarification to do there. So
but I also
yeah.
didn't see
Yeah.
a single poster over 24 by 36.
Got it.
The whole festival.
Yeah, got it. We had some big posters this year. Go ahead, yeah.
Is it possible, my mind works, I just imagine things that are impossible, but.
I love that.
Is there a way to have a poster room that's open 2 weeks before Fringe starts, and you can just go in and everybody's poster is up.
That is a great idea. Probably not, but it's a good idea. The honest reason is oftentimes, and as Bob noted here, oftentimes because we also, we're managing a pop-up venue during the month of June, and so sometimes we get in there days before we want to open it up to the public and make sure that it is as presentable and well decorated and accommodating as possible. So a lot of these things, to be honest, like much in the way that a production sometimes all falls into the place at the last moment, so does our production of the festival. So while that is a great idea and something to think about and maybe work towards, I don't know that you'll see it happen in the near future, but it is a cool idea.
Almost like, just to follow his mind, almost like a poster gallery.
Yes, that's what that sounds like. Yeah, a room of posters. Yeah.
Do you have any idea how many people actually come to the Fringe total?
How many people attend?
56,000 tickets, is that 5,000 people each going to attend the performance?
That's a good question. What's the difference in tickets sold for like people who buy multiple tickets, like total seats filled?
I'm just wondering.
Yeah, there's no way for us to really.
5,000.
Yeah, our ticketing number, like tickets sold, seats filled, that's the best number we have for how many people come to it. Some of those people are probably people who see more than one show, and so there's a repeat, but we don't have an exact count on the number of people who come.
There's a metric that I would like to see very much.
Uh-huh.
I'm sure there are very many reasons why it may not be possible, but I would like to see a list by show name of all the shows in this last festival and the number of tickets sold through Central. So not sold at the door, so we're not violating anyone's privacy. We don't know the number of comps, but just the number of seats sold through that would give us two things. It would give us an idea of how we compare to other shows. We would see whose shows marketing seem to be working the best, and more important, it would tell us what kind of shows were attracting the largest audiences. Were the people primarily interested in one-person comedy shows, group shows, cabaret shows, and in planning future programs, I would love to have that information, and I'm sure if it published totals, we would be very embarrassed with the results of our show. But if it was just confined to the tickets you actually sold, it's still a good indication without betraying anyone's personal business.
I think the sense that what you want, the results that you want from that tool are something we could maybe try and find in another way. Okay. I think that knowing, and I think actually you sort of answered why we can't do that in the question, which is that it might be quite embarrassing. Even if it was just through maybe there's someone who sold hundreds of tickets at the door, the 25 at the, and they don't want people to know. So I think to generally avoid embarrassing anybody, we wouldn't do that. But I think that knowing a tool, like a good tool to know like what people are being attracted to, I think the awards do a little bit of that, but it's great feedback. So interesting.
Would you be able to post something as simple as you saying the most watched show this year was a one-person show or something?
I don't think we would. I don't know if we would do that, to be totally honest, because again,
you could rank them.
Just like
we could, but again, see, it comes down to us not feeling.
No, I mean rank them by category, not by individual show.
Like what categories of shows are most attended?
Like musicals sold the most tickets, or
well,
one-person
we
shows.
could. That also, to avoid getting into too much discussion about it, could be misleading because musicals tend to be in quite larger venues than one-person shows do. So that's maybe a misleading metric there. I think also knowing that a lot of producers do come back year after year. If we speak really well of Romeo and Juliet the musical, and then next year that person comes to do, All's Well That Ends Well the musical, and then they point back to saying like sold the most tickets last year at the Hollywood Fringe. That might be a little bit of hot water there. So, but again, maybe there are other tools that we can find to come to that. Go ahead.
Two things. First one is regarding the printed program.
Mm-hmm. The guide, yes.
The guide. What percentage of shows did not make it into the printed program of the 296? I'm just curious because I thought the deadline to get into the printed program was a little early, and it just, then there's, I don't know, was it a month between when the festival starts and the deadline for the printed program?
It's a little.
Shows, get on board.
Yeah. It's a very small percentage of shows are not in the printed guide.
I mean, I could certainly posit fewer than 5%.
Oh, really?
Really
And
small.
the deadlines are intentionally early to motivate people. A little analysis will yield that the deadline for ads in the guide is fully 2 weeks later. And we have a vested interest in making the guide as accurate and comprehensive as possible. So, you know, didn't hear it here, especially people on the internet, but you know, the deadlines are there as a motivating tool, but there is a certain amount of gray area there. Anyway, as a person who does the layout of the guide, I can tell you that I bend over
Not a moment is
backwards.
wasted, yeah.
Well, no, and I bend over backwards to get everybody in there because,
Yeah.
like I said, we have a vested interest in that.
Well, 5% is a smaller percentage than I thought,
Yeah.
so.
I mean, I would be shocked if it's 5%. I mean, that would be 15 shows that weren't in there, and I don't think
That's
it's on that.
Yeah, I'm curious
Great
too.
job
That's
with the
interesting,
guide,
yeah.
by the way.
Why were you, what was the motivation behind the question?
Well, it was just, I think wasn't it a good month to 6 weeks? But I just thought, God, the festival starts next month, and it was like early May.
Did you feel like you needed more time to prepare for the guide, or were you ready on time?
No, I felt like maybe a little rushed, you know,
Yeah.
I got in fairly early, but, I was just kind of concerned about, other producers maybe who jump on board and suddenly realize, God, we're gonna miss the printed guide.
Well, that's why we put those dates front and center basically from the get-go, because, yeah, I mean, but at the same time, you know,
I thought maybe 10 to
you want to
20%,
get your guide stuff taken care of so you can focus on, you know, rehearsing your show and all the other stuff.
That date has also not changed, I don't think, since year
Yeah, we
one.
keep it the same
And
every year.
April 1st is our deadline we've always had for being in the guide, and then ads the 15th.
Yeah.
But there is a gray area.
Here's my big suggestion, the second part is something I submitted. I saw a lot of plays, I mean, probably more than 10% of the shows probably, I saw 40, I saw some wonderful, wonderful theater.
Okay.
I mean, my mind
I'm
is
gonna push you
blown.
to get to your suggestion because I saw some other
Okay.
hands up. Go ahead.
My point is, what about offering 5, half a dozen, maybe 10 comps for every producer to see a different show from another producer where they're just comped. Free butts is better than no butts from the producer's perspective in terms of filling the show. Increase networking, move everybody around. Sure, everybody likes to comp other producers, but then that would just add to the number of shows that you could see, you know, pennies for the dollar, and it would just would increase the, you know, opening up and being able to see everybody else's shows.
Okay. I'm gonna pause again. So the suggestion is to offer 5 to 10 comps to each producer to see other producer shows. Is that it?
Yeah, and then maybe half off for a guest or something, just to encourage more mixing.
We super encourage producers to do that at their own discretion, but we
Yeah.
will never regulate a policy like that because for every producer it's different. How many comps they are or are not willing to give, and we want to be respectful of that.
But we are talking.
But we are, yeah.
Go ahead.
There are thoughts of ways to opt into certain programs where you could do more of that. It's something we're thinking about now, not definitely planning on doing, but is there a way to create an opt-in when you register that you want to sign up for some sort of program that might do a similar benefits thing? So something that we're thinking about. So it's good to hear that you think about it too. I saw one back here. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, this, with the deadline, it does get people motivated. If you want to be in the directory, you have to get in on time. Is there a way to, after a week after the deadline, to say, hey, it's held over? You get to.
No, because as soon as you do that, people will push it a little further, I will say, I can assure you, the number of people who do not make it into the printed guide year over year is small. I think 5%, Dave was counting on the outside there. And the people who are not in the guide, we do have them, they still stay, the web presence is always constantly refreshed, so they're still in the app. You can put out ads online, they can participate in all the Fringe programming. So the printed guide deadline, we do keep there over years of practice and programming to make sure that we encourage people to be prepared for that time.
I can tell you that every show that wasn't in the guide this year started thinking about doing Fringe in late April or thereafter.
Yeah.
So
We get
anyone who's on the radar, we get them in.
Yeah.
And we prod them repeatedly to get them in.
Yeah.
And if they missed it, it's only because they've ignored.
So I guess there is a
7
bit of an extension, but it's done on a one-to-one basis, so as not to encourage widespread procrastination, which we all fall victim to from time to time. Go ahead.
Going off of what you said, because I was thinking the same thing, I would open it up to anybody that's in the fringe, actor, whoever. If you don't have your seat sold, I have never worked yet with a single fringe production that wouldn't prefer to have somebody in those seats. And, you know, if it's sold, great, but if it's not, first of all, it gives you that many more people that have word of mouth out there. I've run 30 festivals myself, and we do that as an open policy, and it's been nothing but wonderful. And people who participate, it gives them something else that they're getting out of the fringe. They get to see a ton of theater.
That's great.
Some people are trying, they're scraping together their $10 or their,
Totally.
I have about $9.
Totally.
You know, and it doesn't make sense to me why a participant can't see any show that has an empty seat.
Again,
You know, on a
something,
standby
yeah,
basis.
totally. Again, something we highly encourage but have not formalized. Yeah.
We talk about that on in many avenues.
Yeah, we're
marketing
definitely,
especially.
yeah, yeah,
Maybe we could call it an empty seat con.
yeah. Go ahead.
My last note.
Sure.
I had some problems working with the website.
Oh, yes.
Um,
Go ahead.
Navigating the site, from time to time I had difficulty scrolling down on the web page, and login is the last entry on the page as it presents itself. So looking at the page on my
Okay.
computer
Saw
screen,
that, okay.
I couldn't get down to the part where I had to log in to do what I needed to do once I had logged in.
Okay.
So,
There's a little login in the upper right-hand corner of your browser.
okay.
But maybe making that more prominent would be
That would
helpful.
help. Yes, thank you.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I have a question about the review section.
Okay. Every year we talk about the review section. Yeah, go ahead. What's your question?
The question is, I'm just curious why they have it separated instead of just, some people just want to write a paragraph and be done with it. But it makes it it's a little bit more difficult when there's 3 sections. What did you like, what you didn't
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
everything. And some people get frustrated.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering why they have it set up.
We have it actually from feedback from previous town halls where people wanted to know, because there was a previous desire from some producers to get both general comments but also to ask for specific feedback. And so that is a section that undergoes change every year, and something that we always get feedback about, but that is why it is designed that way in response to some users.
Just a follow-up question on that, I'm sorry.
Sure, go ahead.
When you do go and look at the reviews, though, not all 3 sections appear.
Right, there's a bit of expanding there, so hopefully that if there's more than one review, you get a general overview, you can then expand to read each one specifically.
So you have to expand.
Right, they collapse a bit so that you can see more than one on a page, right? Otherwise, if someone wrote an exceptionally long amount of feedback, you would only see that one thing.
This is
rather
the
than all
online.
things that come through. Yeah, this is the Yelp part that you've commented on, yes, correct.
Yeah, I'm an experimentalist by temperament and training and whatever, and as background, I found out about the Fringe only in passing because I got an email announcing actually the 4 Clowns the year before. I'd already attended a different performance of them and written them up and so on. So, the Hollywood Fringe, that sounds interesting. I was in the Edinburgh Fringe 4 decades ago.
I'm gonna pause you, Bob. Is there a feedback? Is there a feedback bit in here or a suggestion in here?
Yeah, so I
Just
went
keeping
to,
an eye on the clock.
I went to a performance, and it was probably the second worst I've ever seen in terms of writing, in terms of performing, in terms of acting, in terms of pissing all over the audience. And I later went to the review section, and it was just absolutely all 100% wonderful. Every single thing, a great performance. So, I mean, that's the feedback. I found it to be nonsense.
I think
do
we've
have a
understood that note from
Yeah.
you. Yep, go
I
ahead.
do have a question for you.
Sure.
Is there any show that you wouldn't allow at the Fringe?
There has not been one yet.
Okay, so now I'll throw the skunk in the garden party question at you. About halfway through the Fringe, I got this email from you about how you had canceled out on your vendor because of an editorial that was written by somebody. And I read through the editorial, and it was something that in 1955 would have been so totally commonplace. Everybody would say, why do you even have to write that?
What's the question, Bob? Otherwise, I am going to move on.
Okay.
Okay? Because I got to keep an eye on time. And we got a lot of people.
You understood at the time that you were going to be called hypocritical. And that's how it came across to me, and that's how I wrote it. And I'm wondering if this really is your policy, that having an opinion is bad and you can fire a whole organization.
Okay, I'm
And
ready to
yet
answer
you
your question.
claim-
Bob,
you
I'm ready to answer your
claim
question. I'm
that
going to
you're
stop you right there.
the openest-
I'm going to stop you right there.
Okay.
So we put out a statement on the Fringe website and in an email, which clearly you've received about that. That right there is all we have to say publicly about that particular incident. As far as a show goes, we have never asked a show to leave the Fringe Festival due to content, and there has never been a show that we have told they could not participate due to content. And that's the end of my answer to that question.
This is,
That's the end of my
divorce
answer to that
attorneys.
question. Go ahead.
I think that asking you what you like and what you didn't like, that was a news issue.
Yes. Mhm.
And I don't think it worked in our favor.
Okay.
I think it was more like a quiz to people.
Okay.
And I would prefer just to give them a chance to write whatever they wanted to write.
Okay. Thank you. Any other comments? Go ahead.
Is there something like on, let's see, on some of the sites where they shows a map of Hollywood, and then there's like a little red dot that shows all the venues for Fringe, maybe it's already, but then you click on it and then it opens up and tells you where to park and everything about it. Is there something like that?
No.
Can we have that?
Maybe.
This is no place to park.
I know, right? If we could find that out. I do the same thing. I try and figure it out too. I think we have a map of the venues where they're located in the guide, of course, in the printed guide, and I think the app has it as well, but there's not sort of a fold out of parking tips or things like that. That's something we could think about.
We're adding producer notes section to your projects for next year, so anytime someone buys a ticket, receives their confirmation email, they'll get a customizable note from the producer about various things, including parking. So to try to facilitate those.
The venues will also hopefully have that same ability to say.
Nice, right? Cool. That's great.
Overall,
Thanks.
the software is terrific.
Thank you. I have nothing to do with it, but I will pass that feedback along.
Pass it along.
It will be
whoever
valued.
needs to. It's
Thank
really
you. Thank you.
quite a project, and it works very smooth.
Thank you. Okay.
Just to clarify, that's the website? That's the website?
Yes.
Thank you all so much for coming tonight.
Thank you.
We really appreciate it. And thank you all for having us today. Thank you. Thank you, Jane, for taking notes. And again, as always, guys, if there are other suggestions or questions you have after the fact, follow up with us at support@hollywoodfringe.org. We check it all year, and we will definitely write back.